What do you do when you realize that who we've been and who we are is causing the sixth mass extinction? What do you do when everything that we know and love is on the line, and yet the momentum of human consciousness and behavior as it is plowing on as if nothing is really happening? But what you don't do is carry on as normal. What you don't do is turn away from the wave before it takes you over. What you don't do is stand there in denial. Why? Because if you do, you are missing the single greatest gauntlet that we have ever created for ourselves in terms of discovering who we are and what we're made of. Because let's face it, we have absolutely no idea. And that is the single greatest thing that gives me hope. Let's think about what a human being isn't. A human being isn't here to be limited. We're not here to be polite or appropriate. We're not here to follow the party line. We're not here to stop rocking the boat. We're not here to carry on as if insanity is sane. We're not here to collude with systems that are poisoning our planet. We're not here to act as if our children are irrelevant or that every species on this planet was here for our own use. We're here because we are encoded with the DNA of every single living thing. That means we have got the capacity to be in profound relationship with life in a way that perhaps only the indigenous people of our world actually understand. And that means one of our reasons for being here is to wake up fast enough to protect every single remaining indigenous person on this planet and bow to the knowledge that they have and call that forth into our culture, because our culture is a culture that is based and rooted in the death of nature. Our economy is rooted in the death of nature. So denial is not an option, and frankly, you will miss the greatest party that there ever was, a party of such outrageous meaning and beauty, whilst we get to get over ourselves in such a massive way, whilst we get to go, oh my God, you know what? I have totally been blind to what it means to be human, to what it means to be in gratitude, to what it means to be in reciprocity, to what it means to live a regenerative or restorative life, to what reverence even means, to what the sacred actually is. And oh my God, did you realize that you're made of this planet? When people say to me, oh, I'm not an environmentalist, I just want to throw them against the wall and say, for God's sake, you are the environment. What do you think you're made of? Who's breathing you? It's these guys. The trees are breathing us. What's our body made of? It's made of ocean and rain. It's made of rock and fire and grass and everything that we have consumed, which, by the way, is all that is here, which is our home. We are our home. We are Gaia, walking around, breathing, and trying to become conscious of the miracle that we are. What is ahead of us right now is a bowing into humility that is so complete that we won't even pass through the shame or the guilt of this bullshit that we've been indoctrinated with, because there's no point. We've all inherited this. Okay, it was not an intentional desire to be in separation. It's been a evolutionary phase that has found us where we are, and we get to define, redefine, recreate, choose, birth the evolutionary phase that we're moving into. And I call that the age of restoration. The age of restoration. But we can't just land there. We've got to pull it into this reality. We've got to commit to it. We've got to feel the possibility of it. And what is that? Well, that's going to be whatever it is inside each of us that is an expression of a humanity that is in such conscious reverence with the natural world that we are understanding. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows why she put her forests where she put them. She knows why she put her eyes where she put them. She knows how every single species is fundamental to the web of life. She knows how to help us breathe. She knows how to help us birth. She births everything. If you want to understand intelligence, look to the one who has got billions of years of creativity under her belt and who wastes nothing. There is nothing enlightened about chewing up your life support machine and spitting it out and saying to your children, don't worry, I'm going to fill your bank account, as if money on a dead planet means anything. There is deeper enlightenment in putting your forehead on the ground, allowing yourself to feel what's happening, and wailing with grief. Because if you are not crying right now, then you are not paying attention. And I'm saying that our tears and our grief are one of the most powerful pathways back to our heart, because it is our grief that is our willingness to recognize just how far we've come from our mother, just how far we've come from the root of who and what we actually are as custodians of this planet of which we are a part, not that we are dominant towards. How could we ever imagine that we could dominate an intelligence and an immensity like Gaia? So inside you is the reason why you chose to incarnate at this time. And it makes me want to weep to even think about what that could be. And there is something in me that wants to say, first of all, believe that it's there. Believe that there is something in you that's waiting to be birthed. Now, it doesn't have to be some great grandiose thing. It could just be a switching on of your own awareness to the sacredness of life. That could be the one thing that is your contribution to the planet at this time. Or it could be that you know fine well you're playing to about a quarter of your strengths. Or it could be that actually you're deeply fed up of saying yes when you mean no. And actually it's time to stop colluding with a system that makes no sense to you. Or it could mean, like me, that knowing nothing about anything, you step up and try to create a global network that now has planted over 9 million trees. And I have not known what I'm doing every step of the way. And believe you me, not knowing is not an excuse to have a go, especially if there is something that is arising in you that keeps grabbing your attention and won't let you go. And if you're sitting there and you're feeling this thing and you're not allowing it to come because you think, I don't know how to do it, it's not an excuse anymore. Whatever it is that we are encoded with, that is the reason why our souls chose to incarnate at this exact time. This is no coincidence. Every single one of us that is here has a part to play. Every single one of us. There cannot have been another point in human history like this, where the reality of the need for a shift of consciousness that is so total, a complete 180 from unconscious consumption to conscious restoration, from nothing is sacred to everything is sacred, to I can use anybody for my own game, to they are all me and they are all vital and I need to take care of them all. That shift, it can happen because the life that we're living now and the systems that we have in place are not true. They're not loving. They're not of our hearts and our souls. They're not of life as life is manifesting in order to create wholeness. They are a manifestation of separation and fracturing. Therefore, there is a much higher expression of all of us and our world that is possible, that is us in relationship with life itself as sacred, with our planet as sacred. So the question is, how do you let that out? How do you let that seed crack? How do you water it and how do you let it grow? I have to believe that the primary ingredient that is given to us to water the seed that we are right now is our grief. It's the water of our tears, because our tears and our grief and our outrage is our path back to how it is actually appropriate to be in relationship to ourselves and each other. People say, oh, women are so weak because they cry all the time. Tell me what is brave about stuffing your emotions. Tell me what is brave about not letting the reality of agony rip through me or you. And I will show you that real bravery is the deepest level of grieving that breaks you open and allows the river of your creativity to flow in answer to the longing in your heart to be one with all of life again, which is our natural state. Your tears and your grief will bring you home to who you really are faster than anything that has ever happened. And we have created a circumstance that is so wildly frightening right now. The level of loss with the species that we're losing. The fact that no child born today will ever have what any adults ever experienced. We will never be able to take weather for granted again. It's gone. Can you actually let that in? Because if you can, it will break you. And we need to be broken. We need to be broken because we need to be broken open. And I think that's wild. And I think it's extraordinary. And I think it's alchemical. And I think it's positive. The more I cry, the braver I get. The more I cry, the more my fierceness comes through. The more I cry, the more I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm not here to be appropriate. I'm here to carve out a human experience that calls forth the kind of world that makes sense to my heart. And that is what you're here for. And if you're not playing that game, then you are missing the root of your own soul. And you're missing the wild potential that you are. Because what's a human being? A human being is stardust and cosmic energy and limitlessness. The soul that you are is part of all that is and all that has ever been, woven into the main frame of existence. Put inside this miraculous planet, walking around as a combination of limitless consciousness and profoundly brilliant intelligence in matter. That's what we are, each of us. Isn't that wild? Isn't that something? Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to just close your eyes for a minute and drop any perception that you know what you are? Dropping any story that you think you know who you are? Because if we can stop thinking that we know anything, that anything that we've been taught actually matters, that we have no idea what it even means to be human, then life, the life that we are part of, can start to pour in through that open mind and show us who we are as part of all that is. And that, to me, is the first step on the path home. Bowing in humility before the reality that we do not know who and what we are, so that life can start to show us. Face everything as it is and let it break you open. Bow before this natural world and apologize and say, show me. And then figure out what is inside you that is longing to be birthed. And if you don't know how to birth it, say yes to it anyway, and then reach out to anybody and everybody around you who might be able to have some of the answers. We're not playing a solo game anymore. Part of what this is a call into radical collaboration, co-creativity. It's a call to come into unity, like the forest floor. There is no single tree in a forest. They are all intimately woven, connected, all taking care of each other, all knowing that there needs to be health in every tree for the whole forest to sustain. If we can bow to nature, nature can tell us what it means to be human. That's my invitation to you. Bow to nature and let nature teach you who you are. Stop listening to the stories that you tell yourself. They are outdated, outmoded. If you think denial is going to get you where you want to get to, forget it. It's done. There is no more time for denial. Step forward through the fire of awakening and discover exactly who you are.